What's up everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast, where on this episode, we're going to be talking about what I suspect may be the end of the public side of the work done by Mr. Jeremy Corbell. If you're not familiar with Jeremy Corbell, he is an individual that you've seen on your news stations for the last probably 4 or 5 years, releasing all of the videos, the alien videos, UAP videos, UFO videos, whatever you want to call it. He is the bearded, excitable guy. But he has his own show on Tubi. It's called UFO Revolution, and it's airing right now for free. It's a 3-episode series, so it's kind of a short series. But there was something pretty crazy that went down on the final episode. Something that I truly believe was unexpected by the producers, and I definitely believe was unexpected by Jeremy, that led to, let's just call it a breakdown, right in the middle of Congress. And I want to go over it and kind of discuss it and show you guys some clips, because there's what the show presented, but then I think you will see there's something else entirely going on. And we will get into that. But before we do, if you haven't yet and you enjoy this podcast, please click the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell so that you get a message every time I post a new episode. And if you are able, please check out our Patreon page. The link is in the description box below. You guys have really been supporting us there lately, and that's awesome, because our goal, like I said, is to bring on a part-time editor to help me with the editing to keep these episodes consistent, and also get to a place where we can take the podcast mobile and find out for you guys what is really going on with all of these bizarre stories across the world. So once again, the link to our Patreon page is in the description box below. Now, Jeremy Corbell. His history, I think, is really important, and it'll make more sense after I kind of set up the episode that I'm talking about here. So let's get into that. What occurred in this episode, and you guys have probably heard about this, but about, I don't know, a month ago or so, or maybe even 6 weeks ago, God, it might have even been longer, we started hearing on the news that there was this reverse engineering program called Immaculate Constellation. Now, it's important to understand what this was. What it was is another nameless, faceless, quote, whistleblower that described what this program was. It wasn't anything that was proven beyond any shadow of a doubt. It's not like, this was the smoking gun. It was just another piece of anecdotal evidence. But this story came out in the news. And when it came out in the news about a month ago or so, or like I said, maybe it was longer, that's about the time that this episode was filmed. Because Jeremy Corbell was once again the guy that was entrusted to share this Immaculate Constellation, this 12-page document with Congress. Now, if you look at Corbell's history, which we'll talk a little bit about it right now, he first kind of burst onto the scene 7 or 8 years ago with a documentary that was a tough watch about Skinwalker Ranch. And it was put together well. The production was done well. The storytelling was tough just because, Skinwalker Ranch is one of those tall tale, locations. Long on story, short on delivery, always. And that's kind of what the documentary was. But it got his name out there, and it got him in those circles in which he was firmly in the circle of, George Knapp, Lou Elizondo, Tom Delong, like that whole group. And that's where his relationship with George Knapp kind of fostered. And ever since they first met, he has made sure, and this is important to where we're going to be going, what we're going to be talking about here, and I'm sure you've heard him say this if you have followed the UFO narrative at all, but Corbell always makes sure that he points out that George Knapp is his mentor. And you'll hear him say this every time he introduces himself in the documents that he presents in press releases, on his website. He has a podcast with George Knapp. He is a self-described American journalist in which George Knapp is his mentor. Now, in the beginning, when he first came out, he was almost inseparable from Knapp. I mean, to the point where you damn near think he was Knapp's like son or something. I mean, they were like a tag team. Everywhere there was George Knapp, there was Jeremy Corbell. And that was kind of the stage that was set in the Skinwalker Ranch documentary, which only went to the next level of his next documentary, which was done very well. And I've given him props for this. It was the Bob Lazar Area 51 documentary. Done really well. Jeremy showed that he's a very competent cinematographer, a strong editor. Again, the story elements, the storytelling elements were kind of lacking a little bit on that documentary, but I don't think that's really his fault, simply because it's the same story that Bob's told for, how many years, 20, 30 years. So it was just kind of like an update, for those who had not heard it. And it was timely. And it was done well. And it came out at the right time. Because once again, right when this came out is when Tom Delong and the To the Stars Academy went public. And the initial guy that was the public face for this kind of circle of people, which was Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, Hal Puthoff, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and there was Tom DeLonge. And initially that was amazing because Tom DeLonge was getting headlines everywhere because it was a fantastic story. I mean, here's this rock star that was kind of like, his band Blink-182 had made a platinum career out of like dick and fart, joke pop songs. And they were kind of like this goofy pop band of, these goofy, by their own, I'm not saying anything bad. This is by their own description. These young goofy kids that kind of had this goofy brand of pop punk and, kind of blew up and became like a household name to a lot of kids who loved him. And then here he was, in a really serious role as his fascination with UAPs and aliens and extraterrestrials was a lifelong fascination. But Tom DeLonge quickly, once they kind of used him to make this big announcement, this big online public announcement about his company being put together and being funded with all these names, Tom did this announcement, if you remember, where Lou Elizondo came on stage and said, "Yes, we may not be alone." And they announced on that stage that they were going to be building a spaceship. They were going to be back engineering a spaceship. They announced that. Which everyone, of course, went, "What the fuck are you smoking?" But, yeah, that was the announcement. And at that time, Tom was leading the way about these 3 videos that were coming. He kept talking about there's going to be footage, it's going to be footage, it's going to be footage. And eventually there was. And he was the one who initially ushered out, Tom DeLonge I'm talking about, for Blink-182, he initially ushered out the footage of the Go Fast, the gimbal, and the Tic Tac. And shortly after the announcement was made that they had their own TV show coming out, it was on Discovery or History. It was a show that just featured that circle. And when that show came out, I think it was called UFO Undercover or something like that. It was America's investigation into UFOs. After like 2 or 3 episodes, what was clear about that show is that Tom DeLonge appeared in a few scenes in the first few episodes, but it quickly became the Lou Elizondo show. And Lou was the lead of that series, not Tom DeLonge, which everyone was kind of scratching their head going, wait a minute, this was kind of billed as Tom DeLonge's group and his show. Why is he barely in the series? Well, it didn't take long for, Tom DeLonge to kind of be, pushed out, or he stepped away, or they stepped away from him. But basically, all the guys that were, publicly announced their involvement with To the Stars, just silently kind of, stepped out the back door. Hal Puthoff, Chris Mellon, Lou. And then Tom was announced that he was back in Blink-182 and he was going to be touring with them, and that's kind of all you heard from him for a while. So there needed to be a new guy, a new person to present things to the public. And I think Jeremy Corbell at the time just fit the bill because of the success that he was having with the Bob Lazar documentary, with which it wasn't necessarily a mainstream success, but within the UFO community and within the paranormal community, it was a big film. I mean, it was known. I mean, everybody knew, what it was. People had seen it, and it was done well. So he became that guy, and he embraced it. Corbell started, not only, was he the kind of face of the movement on news channels, he would actually watermark the footage with his Instagram. So like if you were watching the Tic Tac footage, suddenly right below it was a watermark of, at Jeremy Corbell. And he was just branding himself everywhere that he was the guy that released footage. And every time a new piece of footage came out, his pyramids, that footage, his footage of the jellyfish, there was his Instagram right there. He was just branding himself that's what he does. That's his role. And in every single interview that he did, he was, I am a journalist that's been mentored by George Knapp. And then he announced that he and Knapp had this podcast they were doing together. And then they did a show together, a brief short show, a couple specials, where they were like a team. And then it was announced about 6 months ago that they were going to be doing their own shows. And I thought that was interesting because I also noticed a trend that as things were moving along and becoming more and more serious with the congressional hearings, there was more of a focus put on Lou and David Grush and the people that had the military credibility to them. That started becoming the focus on the TV shows, the news stations. And of course that makes sense because if I'm a reporter and, David Grush, goes to to Congress and lets loose all these crazy stories, if I want to talk to somebody else outside of David Grush, do I want to talk to the filmmaker that, hasn't been involved with the military? Or do I want to talk with the military guy that is claiming he was the head of the military program, OSAP or ATIP, that tracked these UAPs? And that's where Lou kind of started infringing upon Corbell's spot. Because before the whistleblowers, quote, whistleblowers came out, there was no one to really speak about any of the things that, they were claiming were going on. Meaning that in the beginning, once the footage came out, the story was, oh yeah, there is, we believe, a program that reverse engineers, these UFOs. But again, no one had stepped up, in Congress, nor had there been a congressional hearing yet. So they had to have somebody to talk to the news. You get my point here. That somebody was Jeremy Corbell. That was his place in all of this, okay? Once the congressional hearings started, Corbell was trying like hell to be on the official record and to be, up there talking to Congress. That did not happen. The first time that they did the congressional, UAP hearing, if you remember, there was only 3 people. There was David Grush, Ryan Graves, and David Fravor. And right behind them was Jeremy Corbell, nodding his head yes to every question as though he was answering, although he wasn't. Sorry, my chest is still a little congested, guys. But again, I'm bringing this point up because it just showed that Corbell badly wanted to be on the official record at Congress. But after, the first hearing, that did not happen. He openly stated that he wanted to be one of the people that they talked to. And I know why he wanted to do that. The reason that these guys, all of them, I kind of mentioned it the last time too, the reason it becomes important, especially for somebody like Corbell, to be put on the official record is because that's currency. They can trade off that. That's where, look, once you're on the official congressional record as an expert speaking on UAPs or UFOs, I mean, that's the difference in landing a book deal or not. That's the difference in landing a college lecture agent or not. That's the difference in your film doing, better, or getting a book like Elizondo. It's like imminent. Those things matter. That's how these guys make their money doing it. And Corbell was the guy that was front and center that took over for Tom Delong. Tom Delong had a whole career he can go back to. So he didn't lose anything by going back to Blink. And he actually, gained, because that was a, much anticipated reunion. With Corbell, he's got to stay in the limelight. To be somebody in this, to matter, he's got to stay in the limelight. Now remember, he has no actual history as a journalist. That's why he is always saying, George Knapp is my mentor. He's including that everywhere because he's trading on George Knapp's credibility. He's trading on his history, on his degree, on his journalism training. I'm not just Jeremy Corbell. I'm Jeremy Corbell, a journalist that, you should respect because this incredible journalist, George Knapp, which I don't know if I would go as far as to call George Knapp incredible, but he's very good. But that's what he's trading on. That's why it's so important for Corbell to always be, making sure that that, George Knapp is his mentor, right? So now that these videos have come out, and a ton of videos, and now that a lot of them have been debunked, look, Corbell's been beat up online like you can't believe. And he's taken a beating for a long time because he wanted to be the guy. And he appeared to have zero interest in actually debunking anything. And things weren't looking great for him. So in this episode, he has kind of like a new role. Now that the, quote, whistleblowers are coming out, his value becomes less and less. But he, as you see in this episode, he's initially establishing that his value is that he's protecting whistleblowers. He keeps saying that in the episode. He talks about how there's so many whistleblowers he has that are going to come out, and he's protecting them. And that's what he does, man, because they know with him they're fucking safe. As long as he's the one with the information, he's the one delivering it, then those whistleblowers are safe. And right away I was like, this is weird. Why are they focusing on that so much? It's like there's nothing he's ultimately doing other than what? Shutting up and being quiet about who someone is? That's like it, basically. But more importantly, the episode sets up that Jeremy, he's saying, he goes, I took this whistleblower to private meetings, and I just walked in, unscheduled meetings, with my 12-page document that is Immaculate Constellation. So they show him going to meet with Representative Luna, also Burchett, and then the day comes where they're going to have this second UFO hearing. And you kind of find out that, once again, Corbell is not going to be one of the witnesses that they've spoken to. But he's still trying to make sure that his name is out there. And he wants everybody to know that this 12-page document about Immaculate Constellation is coming from him. And he states that right before this congressional hearing, he will hand deliver copies of this to Congress, and his name will be on the record as the person who delivered this material. I knew right away he wants that because, again, now he can be questioned. Now they can call him back as an actual witness that Congress could talk to if they have questions about him. Well, if you remember in the last congressional hearing, in case you didn't watch it, there was a member from NASA, there was Lou, there was Tim Gallaudet, a Navy Rear Admiral, and then there was Michael Schellenberger, who is a very well-known journalist. In fact, Schellenberger has spoken to Congress several other times about other topics that are broad-ranging, not just UAP stuff. So when this hearing begins, each member that's there, they get questioned by Congress, and they all speak about, their thoughts on the UAP activity that's going on. And basically they get to this article, and Nancy Mace just announces that this 12-page article was given to her by Michael Schellenberger. And Corbell, you can see he is freaking out because Michael Schellenberger was the one that is now a part of the official record as the journalist who gave this 12-page report to Congress, not Corbell.
There is a document that will be entered into the Congressional record today. Mr. Tim Burchett from Tennessee has this document, and we just distribute it to every member. But this is going to be the original document from the Pentagon about Immaculate Constellation that Michael Schellenberger delivered to Congress today.
What?
So thank you, Mr. Schellenberger, for this information. We are all reading it in real time now. 12 pages about this unacknowledged special access program that your government says does not exist.
What went through my head when I heard that? About 1,000 things. I was surprised that they thought they could lie without consequence.
Now, if you're in a partnership with somebody and you're trying to accomplish something like this on this scale, one of the things that you would hope that you have and that you would look for is somebody that can handle adversity and just be calm and figure out the next step as to what to do. Jesus, what follows with Corbell is what is ultimately a tantrum thrown by an overblown, ego-driven man-child.
Congress just lied to the American public.
Why? Where was the lie?
Oh, I submitted the IC document. Ask Schellenberger, he'll tell you. But everybody sat there as they said he did. Why? You should ask yourself that. Why? It should be trivial.
It
should be trivial. It's fucking not. Nancy Mace lied. Nancy Mace said Schellenberger gave her an 11-page report on Immaculate Constellation from a whistleblower, okay? That was a lie, and she knew it. She was told 3 times. You notice how Burchett and Luna kept going up to her? They know I submitted the entire document. The Schellenberger never had it. And Schellenberger did admit that standing up after. And I did say to him, they lied. And you know they lied. I submitted the report. You didn't. Is that right? He said, it was confusing. I go, no, it wasn't confusing. They lied and you didn't correct them.
Why would they lie?
That's the question everybody should be asking on something that appears so trivial. Why would they erase my name? I'm the only person on planet Earth that was given that document. Nancy Mace came up to me right after the hearing, right? She's like, oh, thank you for everything you did. And I'm like,
I submitted the document. It wasn't Michael. He knows that.
Nancy Mace thinks she can come up and politic me, thinking I'm going to be quiet about a little lie. Well, guess what? A little lie is actually a big lie. And I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm not going to be a politician. And she came up to me pretending that
So do you feel like the whistleblower is still safe?
No. Why is this important? I am protecting a lot of whistleblowers. I found a way to protect this individual who is a true whistleblower. I brought the author of that document into 3 members' offices. My job was to have the only single original authored and authorized piece to be put on congressional record. It is the executive branch and intelligence agencies that initiated this hearing from the get-go to have a controlled version of disclosure, so you do believe a truth, which is that UFOs are real. But what they do with that, they're going to need people they can control.
How does the whistleblower feel?
They feel less protected now because people are shaping the emerging UAP narrative. They're choosing what pieces to have on the chessboard, and they know they can't fucking corrupt or control me. It's all about money and power. You want to explain it while we're recording? Because we're recording right now. Okay. Hold on.
No,
Michael.
Yeah.
I want to hear your explanation. I told you they're recording. If you're an honest broker, tell me what happened.
Yeah, I mean, they just came in and were like, they didn't have the report, and then some staffer had it, and they showed it to me, and I was like, yeah, that's the report. And then they were like, we'll make copies, and we went in, and that's all that happened.
Okay, so I believe you, Michael. However, you know, and I know, that you did not submit that onto the record very clearly. And you know, and I know, that I did submit that onto the record, first of all, months ago, and then again last night, and then again this morning, just making sure everybody had copies. It was 12 pages, not 11. So Nancy Mace fucking lied for you. I'm assuming you are not part of that lie.
She didn't lie for me. So I don't know, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know why she said that. I think she just assumed it was.
No, she did not assume anything because I walked somebody into her fucking office. I walked somebody physically into her office that we both know, Michael. She knew it was a lie. So maybe, as an investigative reporter, you should ask yourself, why is it that they lied? You should ask yourself that question. And you told me that you clarify when things are reported wrong. So they reported that you put that on the record. Will you clarify publicly that that was a lie?
I'm happy to clarify it. I'm not going to accuse the chairwoman of lying.
It's probably,
lying involves intent.
Oh yeah, well,
So I don't know that there was that intent.
It's politically smart of you to not obviously accuse her of lying. But I have all the proof as an investigative journalist yourself. I have all the proof you need to know that that was a knowing lie and not some sort of strange coincidental confusion. And you should be real curious, Michael, of why that lie was important for her to tell. As a human being to another human being, you should be really curious how that lie helps.
So the question is, why is he acting this way? Why is he so absolutely pissed off? According to him, it's because these whistleblowers are no longer safe. That's what he's claiming. They're no longer safe because he gave the whistleblowers his word that he would be the one distributing this story. And because it got entered into the record by somebody who was actually going to be there, somebody that was on the record already and could be questioned by it, he's got his conspiratorial hat on, and he's just thinking that, they're trying to take him out, which is partly true. I'll get to my opinion here in a second, what I think is actually going on. And he's just throwing a fit, and he's, telling people what they got to do and how to do their job. And he's very accusatory in his way that he's speaking, and he's absolutely freaking out. And you can see that what is really happening, in my opinion, what's really happening, there isn't really much of a reason for Congress to have to deal with a Jeremy Corbell anymore. You can tell everybody kind of has the same feeling about Corbell, which is, look, before there were people that came forward, there was a need for you to talk to the press and get the information out there. But now we're past that. They're here talking to people that are claiming that they worked on these projects and have seen, or at least seen elements of these projects. And that's who Congress wants to talk to. That's who they want to talk to. And you guys say, well, where does Corbell fit in all this? Nowhere. He doesn't really fit in anywhere else now. He was the guy that they used, kind of the useful idiot, to steal that moniker, that he took over from Tom DeLong. And now he's put out his evidence, and most of it's been debunked. And now we've moved on to, people who are stating that they worked for these companies and these black operations, and that's where we got to be. And there's no position for Jeremy Corbell. And he keeps saying that, but he's protecting these people. They have to be safe. Let's be real here. What's he protecting? How's he going to protect anything? If the government decides they want to take somebody out, Jeremy Corbell ain't going to do shit. But he's talking like he's going to force the hand. So what does Corbell do? You can see that people just want to get rid of him because the guy is, an over-emotional problem. So what does Corbell do? What does he do? He immediately throws a fit and tries to throw a wrench in the whole thing. Classic childhood move. He tries to blow everything up. He immediately starts saying that because of this, rather than him trying to make whistleblowers, quote whistleblowers, feel comfortable and feel good about what they're doing, he was like, you should be terrified right now. He starts trying to make it where, look, if I can't play the way I want to play, then they should be terrified. If I can't be involved, they should be horrified by this. And it's like, why? Why? What are you going to provide? There's nothing that you're going to provide. And he goes as far as to say, for 11 years I've protected whistleblowers. For 11 years I've done that. And it's like, yeah, but that's a benefit to you. You asked somebody to tell you something. No one came to you out of the blue. You asked somebody to give you information. They don't owe you for that. You wanted that. So why are you acting like that's some medal of honor that you protected somebody? Good, you said you'd be honest and you were. Okay, great. You're not owed anything for that. It's crazy. And then at the very end, he just lets it all fly. A bunch of conspiracy stuff I've heard too, and I've heard the dates that he's talking about. He basically says,
Your government now wants you to know one truth, and that truth is that UFOs are real. They've already done told you. Sometimes when you want somebody to know a truth, it's so you can set them up to believe a lie. And that's coming. I have zero doubt that lie is coming.
What is the lie?
Specifically, you want me to say it right now? For real? Real? On camera? To be put in the show?
Yes.
Okay. Problem with that. If we tell the lie before it's told, they can adapt. That wouldn't be wise. I'll tell you privately, but I would really think about if you want to put this in your show. For real. That's a real thing, I'm telling you. So will you think about it before putting it in your show?
Absolutely.
Okay. So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. Not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to know UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. But why they want you to know that truth now? I hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying.
This is not, a new thing that no one's ever heard of. But he starts saying that there's a date, which I have heard of the date. I've never put it out there because I'm not going to propagate it. And the long and short of it is, he says that our government is going to try and tell us that there's a ship, a large ship, that is making its way towards us. But the whole thing, oh man, it was just like, Corbell, what are you doing, man? Like, if you can't play ball, then fuck everyone else. If you're not going to be, sworn in by Congress, and your name's not going to be there, then suddenly it's too dangerous for everybody else. And he even goes as far as at the very end to say, and he was like, so maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. And people will call me crazy, and that's okay.
Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous.
It's just like, dude, come on, man. Come on. I just think he's, in time, I think Jeremy will see that he learned a really, really hard lesson here right now. It's when you got to look around at the goals of what you're trying to accomplish and the people that you're trying to accomplish it with. And really ask yourself, am I a part of this team, and how long can this really go on? And what are my goals? Is your goal, is your goal is to provide information, then, walk in and provide, just give it all up then. Just talk to your whistleblowers and tell them all that, you want to know right now from them what can't be said, and you'll take it off the list. But anything that can, you're going to go in and just let it out and be done with it. Be done with it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with trying to make money and do things if you do it the right way. But this slow bleeding people and doing it under the guise that it's defense, that I'm defending you. I'm defending you. That's why I have to be on record. I have to be sworn in. I have to be questioned. I have to be on TV. If I'm not, man, you're just not safe. I want to know what you guys think of this footage, what you guys think of this situation. Do you think that he's truly just upset that there's something shifty going on and he truly now fears for everything? Or do you guys see what I see, which is a guy that just kind of woke up and realized there's no place for me here anymore. I have fulfilled my role. And moving forward, I don't really have one. And the guy throws a tantrum. So I would love to know what you guys think. This was a hard watch for me. But I think the best thing for this movement right now is to get Corbell out of it. I really do. I think it is the best thing for this movement. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. All the best.